All right, so multiply A, 6, times C, negative 40, and you get negative 240. Now, I'm thinking in my head, or you can write them all out if you want. I'm thinking of factors. What times what gives me negative 240? Added gives me what? 1. So I need numbers right next to each other, 10, 11, 9, and 8. All right? So did anybody find the right situation there? One's got to be positive, one's got to be negative, right? So negative 240. How did you find it yet? Try 15 and 240. Yeah, 15 and 16. Okay? The 16 will be positive, and the 15 will be negative. When I multiply those, that's negative 240. When I add those, it's positive 1. Okay? You guys just kind of, check your factors of negative 240, whatever that number is. Okay? Now, what we do is we rewrite this problem with 4 terms instead of 3. We turn it into number 6, a grouping problem. The first term doesn't change, and the last term doesn't change. This middle one, this 1mn, changes to these two. So write plus 16, and whatever variables are in the middle, that's what you use, mn minus 15, mn. Okay, so whatever numbers you pick, found that work, put those in the middle. So you change that middle term to 2 terms. Okay? And then we group. Okay, first 2, last 2. When we group, if this third term is a negative or a minus in front of it, put it inside the group. And then you can just separate them by a plus sign now. If I would have written it negative 15mn plus 16mn, that would have been okay. Then I just, put the parentheses there. I don't have to worry about there's no negative to worry about putting inside there. So then we just go back and pull out GCFs. And the GCF for these 2 terms, this first group, is 2m. And I divide 6m squared by 2m, you get 3m. And 16mn divided by 2m is 8n. When this third term has that minus sign in front of it, pull that out front. And then think about what goes into 15mn and 40n squared, and it would be 5n. And divide. Negative 15mn divided by negative 5n is positive 3m. And negative 40n squared divided by negative 5n is a positive 8n. Look at the green binomials. Are they the same? That's what you want to happen, right? That's one of my answers, one of my factors. My other factor is the 2 GCFs you pulled out, the blue ones. If I were to FOIL these 2 binomials, when I'm done, I'll get the original problem. You can always check if you want to check. Does that make sense? That's the kind that usually gives us a little bit of trouble, when the A value is not a 1. When it's a 1, it's pretty easy for it. This just takes a little bit more time, that's all. Not that tough. Questions? Make sense to you? Okay. This one. Is there a GCF? Yes. It is what? 3. Then divide. 3x squared divided by 3 is x squared. Negative 27 divided by 3 is a negative or a minus 9. Are we finished? No. Cody, what do I got to do? Right. It's a difference of squares, right? Number 2 on our list. Two terms, they're both perfect squares, and there's a minus between them. All right? So you make those 2 sets of parentheses, and then you just take square roots. What's the square root of x squared? X. What's the square root of 9? 3. Then 1. Positive and negative, plus and a minus. Doesn't matter which one's which, just one of each. So that's factored completely. Questions on that one? Okay. So let's go over answers to our homework. And any of that you have a question on, we can go over them. And then we're just going to do a practice quiz tonight for homework. Go over it tomorrow, and the quiz will be Friday. Just be all factoring problems. Okay? So, number 5, there's a GCF. It's 2xy. And then we have 3 terms left in the parentheses after we pull out the GCF. We got 5x plus 3 minus 7y. Anybody need to see number 5? Okay, number 10. Just a regular trinomial. And factors of 20 that add up to 9 are 4 and 5. So it's x plus 4 and x plus 5. You don't have to do what we did that first one today. You have to do a times c. A was 1. Number 15, that is like the one we did for warm up with the 6 and the negative 40. So we had to multiply 51 times negative 4 and get negative 204. And look for factors of that add up to negative 5. When you're all done, it's 7x plus 4 and 3x minus 1. And then number 20, only change there, they made it x to the 4th and the middle term x squared. And you're looking for factors of 18 that add up to 11, which would be 9 and 2. So instead of going x plus 9 and x plus 2, since it was x to the 4th, you go x squared plus 9 and x squared plus 2. Anybody need to see 10, 15, or 20? Don't be shy, it's okay. All right. We skipped 25, didn't have to do that. 30, same as number 10 or 20. We got x squared plus 1 and x squared plus 2. Factors of 2 that add up to 3 are 1 and 2. Since it was x to the 4th, we used x squared in the front of those. 35, let's look at that one. Don't let that intimidate you. We've got an x to the 6. Sometimes when we see the bigger exponents, we think it's hard, but it really isn't. Same procedure. Minus 8. Okay, there's no GCF. Nothing goes into all 3. So it's got 3 terms. So I didn't look at number 2 and 3 because those are 2 terms. That's not a special trinomial because that's not a perfect square. And that's not positive, and that's not a perfect square. So it's the regular trinomial. So a times c would be negative 24. And I'm going to use positive 6. Let's do it this way. Let's go the other way so you don't have to do the negative inside all the time. Show you. Doesn't matter which order. Let's do negative 4 and positive 6. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. Negative 4 plus 6 is a positive 2. So I rewrite it. 3x to the 6 minus 4x cubed. Whatever's in the middle here goes with that one. Plus 6x cubed. So again, whatever that is goes with these 2 numbers. And then the minus 8. So then we group it. So this one, there's a plus there, there's no minus, so you just put the, don't put the plus inside your groups. And then GCF would be x cubed And then I get 3x cubed minus 4. And here 2 would be the GCF, and I get 3x cubed minus 4. So those are the same. So my answer is 3x cubed minus 4. And then x cubed plus 2. Okay? So don't let the x to the sixths in the front and x cubes in the middle mess with you. Okay? You can handle it. Number 40, difference of squares. So you get square root of 81b squared is 9b, so 9b in the front. Square root of 4, or 16c squared is 4c. So 4c's in the back, 1 plus and minus. So 9b plus 4c, 9b minus 4c. 45 was a tricky one, so I'll show you that one. I'm not going to quiz you on one like that. I'll do the ones on the quiz that look more like number 40 instead of 45. But this is a difference of squares right here, actually. You got this quantity squared minus, there's your difference, another perfect square. So you make your two sets of parentheses, and you take square roots. What's the square root of x plus 5 squared? What's the square root of something squared? Itself, right? So the square root of x plus 5 squared is x plus 5. So that just goes in the front of both. You guys all know the square root of 4 is 2. That's in the back. And then there's one has addition, one has subtraction. Okay, so it looks different, but you do it the same way. Then you should simplify. 5 plus 2 is 7, and 5 minus 2 is 3. If I do this problem, FOIL that and minus 4, or FOIL this, I'll get the same two answers. They're the same. They just look a little different. But again, I'm not going to give you one tricky like that. 50 is one of those special trinomials, number 4 on our list. The 1, 2, 3 works. You know, the square root of b squared is b for number 1. The square root of 44 is 12 for number 2. 1 times 2 for number 3 is 12b. That's half of the 24. So you write one quantity, b minus 12, and you square it. If you didn't see it with one of those, you could write b minus 12 times b minus 12, do it like a regular trinomial, and you'll get it. It's okay. 55, that's one of those difference of cubes. The cube root of x cubed is x, the cube root of 8 is 2, so you have an x minus 2 for your binomial. Your trinomial is the first term, the x squared. Since it was minus 2, you make it plus the middle term and go x times 2, 2x. And then the third term is always plus, and you square the 2, you get 4. So it's x minus 2 for the one quantity, and the other quantity is x squared plus 2x plus 4. 60, a lot of people had trouble with that, so let's look at that. Come on, give me an extension here. All right, so is there a GCF? No. Is it a difference of perfect squares? No. It's a sum of perfect squares, but not a difference. Right? Is it a sum or difference of cubes? Remember, one is a perfect square, a perfect cube, a perfect, fourth, fifth, whatever you want to call it. All right? Any variable to a multiple of 3 power is a perfect cube. So 12 is a multiple of 3, so it's a perfect cube. If it was subtraction, I would do it as a difference of squares, because that's the next number 2 on the list, right? That came before the different, it could be a difference of cubes too, but since we always do difference of squares second, we do that first if that was minus. And then we look and see what happens after that. So anyway, this is a sum of cubes. So we have a binomial answer and a trinomial. And we just take cube roots. The cube root of 1 is 1. You use whatever signs there goes to here, they match. And the cube root of y to the 12 is y to the 4th. You just divide whatever that exponent is by 3 when you take the cube root. Then our trinomial is we take the first term of our binomial and square it. 1 squared is 1. Since this is addition, the middle term's opposite, so that's subtraction. And then you just multiply these. 1 times y to the 4th is y to the 4th. This third term's always positive, and you square that. Y to the 4th times y to the 4th is y to the 8th. So that's what that looks like. Since this is not a multiple of 3, I can't do it again. You know, if that was a 6 or a 3 or a 9, I have to do another sum of cubes. Okay? If that was a minus sign, then that's a difference of squares. I have to do that. Okay? So pay attention to those little things. Those could happen. 65, just a normal grouping problem. It's x minus 1 and ax plus b. 70 I'd like to do for you. So you can see it. It's got a couple steps. Okay, is there a GCF? That's what we always ask ourselves first. Michael?
It is
What is it?
4b.
Thank you. Divide. You got this. So we're all done, right? Zach, what do you think? You done? That easy? What is it? What do we call that? Number 2, number 3, which one? 3 cubes, right? Cube. What's the cube root of 8? 2. Yeah, so that's a perfect cube. So the 4b stays, just comes along. Binomial, trinomial. Cube root of x cubed is x. That sign. Cube root of 8 is 2. First term, square it. Opposite signs. Multiply the two terms together. Always addition. Square the second term. 2 squared is 4. Now we're done. Okay. 75, I'd also like to let you see. Again, those were the last couple there. Pretty tough. 80's not tough. It's just a normal grouping problem after you take out the GCF. Plus 4bx minus 3bx minus 4b. Is there a GCF, a greatest common factor? Yeah. You gotta pull that out. So it looks like that. 4 terms, so how do we factor it? What's this called when I do this? Grouping, right? There's a minus sign there, put it inside, make it plus in between, factor out the GCF. So we got our B, and then factor out the GCF, which would be x squared. And I get 3x cubed divided by x squared is 3x, and 4x squared divided by x squared is 4. And then Or do I pull out since that's a minus? Minus sign, right? Nothing's common. So do I put nothing?
No.
What number should I put? 1, very good. If nothing's common, 1's common to everything, so we just put a 1 so we show that there's a number there. Sometimes we don't put anything and then we're not sure what to write when we do our next step. So put a 1 there to take care of that number. Negative 3x divided by negative 1 is positive 3x. Negative 4 divided by negative 1 is positive 4. The two black binomials are the same, right? That's what I want to happen. So here's my answer. We got our red B, our 3x plus 4, our black 3x plus 4, and our blue x minus squared minus 1. All done, right? Christopher, all done? You can't. Why? Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah, that's a difference in squares. So we gotta finish up. So we got our B, we got our 3x plus 4, and then that's a difference of squares, so I gotta break it down. So it's like a factor tree we're doing. Tasha, what goes in the front? Square root of that. Good. What goes in the back, Tasha? Square root of that. Yeah. Then what, Ashton?
Plus and minus.
Thank you. Now we're all done. Right, Jamie? Good. Okay, so that one had a little bit, we had, what do we have? We had a GCF, then we had grouping, and then we still had a difference of squares. So, just keep looking for stuff. Again, homework's always tougher than what? Quiz. So if you're understanding these, you'll be fine for the quiz. Okay? The last one, number 80, you had to take out the 5 first. That was a GCF, and then group it. So we get 5, and then an x plus 4, and a y minus 3. Okay? So, hopefully you're understanding. If you're not understanding, hopefully you're asking. You guys haven't asked very many questions, so maybe it's coming to you. But if you're stuck, don't hesitate to ask. Okay? Ask somebody about you or ask me. I'll help you out. All right, so your assignment is a practice quiz. Okay, it's on Canvas, but I also have one to give to you. All right? There's not a lot of room, and these take some room, so you might want to do it on another sheet of paper, but you can squeeze it all in. Just take your pick and submit it before, what time? 12:47 tomorrow? Is that your? Time class starts?